Africa, fire beats.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Prohecy podcast. This is episode 3. I am Obese the Prophet. I'm here tonight without my co-host. Justin Martin is out tonight, but we wish him the best of luck, hoping he can tune in later, and we're still going to kill shit. So I do want to shout out, give a little bit of time to our sponsors. Of course, the Prohecy podcast is proudly sponsored by mpcstuff.com. They have hundreds of replacement upgrade products for any MPC or other Akai machines, fast shipping, quality products, and I personally stand behind all their products, and I respect our partnership tremendously. So I do want to shout them out. Also, the podcast is sponsored tonight by I Regret Nothing Apparel. Some of the best quality materials, social messages, and designs. We're proud to have them as a sponsor, and we stand behind them 100%. And I absolutely love that they are a Black-owned Maine small business. It doesn't really get any better than that. And our smoke break segment, as always, is brought to you by Fire on 4, located at 367 4th Street in the heart of Portland, Maine's Old Port District. Ultra fine cannabis products and a super friendly and knowledgeable staff provide you with all your medical cannabis needs. Just remember, you do need a card. It is medical only when you do go in there, not rec over there. So also be sure to check out Elevate Music. That's my record label and music promo company. If you need any distribution, any kind of social media promo, graphic design, production, websites, we literally do it all. So be sure to check out elevatemusicllc.com. For more information. And last but not least, the Prohecy podcast is brought to you each and every week by Bars Over Bars Media. We cannot thank them enough for their support as we continue to expand the content and build this brand. So without further ado, I want to bring in tonight's guest, Slade from Phoenix, Arizona.
How's it going, man?
How's it going, brother?
It's going good, man. It's good to be here. I'm glad you have me on. I'm ready to get this started, man.
Great, man. It's good to have you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you.
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute, yeah.
And obviously a lot of crazy shit is going on, to say the least, between
man. Yeah.
But yeah, we usually start the show off with just like a guest introduction. Basically just your hometown, your little self story, how you came about your name. That's a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
Music, what kind of got you into it, things like that.
Okay, for sure. So you just want me to start off with name and everything like that?
Yeah. Let everybody know who you are, where they can find you on social and all that.
Perfect. So I go by Long Live Slade on all socials. That's Instagram, Twitter, I believe YouTube as well. And right now I'm just like Obi said, just a friend that we met up a couple years ago, and that's how kind of our story began. But for me, I go by Slade. That is my last name, Slade. Daniel is my first. I'm 28 years old, born in I'm a November baby, Sagittarius. So hometown, Phoenix, Arizona, born and raised. I've been here since I was born. I ain't been nowhere else, It's really shaped me and who I am and a lot of who my friends are. And, we grew up on the west side of Phoenix. So it really explains a lot of at least my music and my sound does of where we come from. Mm-hmm. And really just the self story behind the name Slade is really what I go by. Long Live Slade is the handles. But my sophomore year in high school, I was playing ball, JV ball with me, my boy DZ, and my boy Daniel Allen. So those are 3 people with the name Daniel. And eventually it got to a point where it was like, DZ's going to be DZ. We already know that. Daniel Allen's going to be Daniel, but you got to be Slade. And one of the homies, Dom, who's also a local rapper, I'll give a little plug right now, KDXVL, go check him out. He just would always be like, Slade, every time he would see me, and it just took off. It was just Slade from there. And it got to a point where 5-6 years down the road, I hear Daniel and I'm like, what? Who's that? And it's so weird now because like everyone I know calls me Slade. So it's a blessing to be able to not only go by your last name for your life, but just be able to stand behind it with something like this with music. So yeah, go ahead.
Hell yeah. No, I'm saying hell yeah. That's
yeah.
way to go about it because it's easy to remember. You know what I'm saying? And like people can, especially if you grow outwards from your group that you're with, it's easy for them to spread the name too. Like Slade, because they're saying it all the time. They've been saying it. Like,
yeah,
it's smooth anyway. It's a dope last name. So
I appreciate it, man. And it always turns heads, but whenever someone hears it that hasn't heard it before, it either gets referenced back to Deathstroke, who's Slade Wilson. I think there's a Slade in like the Flash series or something. If I'm not, it's another series, but it always gets referred to something super cool, and it was just always like, yeah, that's my last name. So I think it's cool to be able to title myself that as an artist. You know, like you said, pretty simple. So, but the background behind music, I guess we can really touch on too. I know you wanted to kind of get the story behind how I even got here.
Yeah.
Today. And for me, it was just I was 8 years old, and rest in peace to Beverly Ann Turner. My Grammy, she taught me how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb on the piano, but I didn't have any sheet music or anything. She just taught me by ear for herself, and then I taught myself how to do it, and it kind of just took off from there. My dad had bought me like a keyboard from a garage sale a couple years later, and it was just music constantly. And then it kind of just evolved. I got a drum machine when I was 13. It was a SB 246. It was a small silver drum machine. It was one of the old school joints, man. But I made it work for me. That got stolen a few years ago, so fortunately, it's not in the repertoire. But I still got it all up here. But yeah, and from 13 on, it just like I said, it just developed. I got into a lot of things with music in high school, like choir and band and stuff. So from there, I started writing music, and you could just say I've been shaping myself for the last 15 years since, you know, like I said, I got that drum machine. It just became a whole different beast. So yeah, and that's how I'm here today. I got a lot to talk about. I'm not going to take up all your space, but it feels good to be able to talk about it, man. It feels good, and I'm glad I'm here with you to give you the story, man.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear you here with us, and of course to hear the story because yeah, we did meet out there in Phoenix at like we were working a job that we ended up both not staying at. But it was a great time while we were there. Like, you know, it was
Definitely.
like 3 weeks we were there, but it was just a great time. It was like a temp job or something like that.
Yeah, I forgot. I can't even remember what it was. I know it was phones. That's all I remember. But
call center was like a temp job, you know, and it was right around Christmas time, so it was like the hardest time of the year to try to get people to like buy into things and like whatever. We just didn't want to hear people calling from. But anyways, it was a great time. We met during training or something. Somebody had mentioned, I don't know if it was you or somebody else. It seemed like everybody in the training class was into music. Like everybody's like, yo, I rap. And then, you know, like in the class, oh, for real? You rap too? And it was just like, I saw you and your brother, Tommy or whatever. And it was just like, first off, Tommy's a riot. So like to have him every day in the class was great.
Yeah, that's my brother, man.
It was the reason I went. You know what I mean? I wasn't there to for anything else. It was to, like hear the comedy from him. But no, you guys were great, and it was like we ended up talking about music. I showed you some pieces, some boom. We ended up like making a few things. I still have those songs, and I'm pretty sure you probably if you don't have copies, then I've got them. You know, but
sweet,
we did,
good.
I think a couple on my beats and some others on beats you had. And every time I go back and listen to it, it's fucking dope. And then even Tommy got in on it, and I still have the stuff he did. And that was great too. Like,
yeah, I can remember that day when you put that EQ on his voice, and we went crazy because it sounded like he was in a real studio. It was real. It was just crazy to hear that, man. It was
that room had that much reverb, but no, it was great experience out there. Not only like, you know, going to work and seeing that, but being able to see all that Phoenix had to offer and being able to travel from, you know, the east side of Phoenix, Papago, and like that side, where you guys were at, on the west side, and be able to see everything in between, and not like take the main way to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the smaller roads to get there. Yeah.
On baseline and then come up, like, you know what I'm saying, and head up that way instead. I know they had just put that new throughway in down there at the end of baseline on the west side, but it was just being able to travel around in Phoenix is way different than being able to travel around in Maine. You know what I'm saying? Because Maine,
for sure,
it's like many trees, fucking ups and downs, and like, you know, all this it's tons of green. It's like green, green, green. Even in the winter, green, you know what I mean?
And at least you got green. It's just desert out here, so.
But that's the contrast that being that you're out there, you're like, oh, green, and me being out here, I'm like, fucking green.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I liked it so much, and it just had like a certain. It had bad smells. I'm not gonna lie, but there were certain times you go certain places had a certain like sweet like desert smell about it. You go like up the hole in the rock, or you go up the South Mountain, and you just have like I can't. It's hard to explain. You know what I'm talking about? That desert.
It's that real dry like desert air. I know what you're talking about, man. It's unlike it really.
Yeah, and so like it's very unique, and being out there, this whole scenery and the cactuses and everything is fucking dope. But moving away from that, usually this would be the point where we may talk about some recent, strange news or something like that. I don't know if you've heard any recent strange news at all.
Recently, no strange news, honestly, as strange as that might sound. I've been kind of just tapped into getting ready for this podcast and some music stuff, but nothing crazy. What about you?
I was reading something, I think last night, that was talking about how they think that Neanderthals went into caves because there was like a polar reversal. 40,000 years ago, the poles reversed, and when they did that for a period of like 800 years, the solar radiation was able to penetrate Earth's atmosphere harder than ever before, and it made Neanderthals retreat into caves and become cavemen or whatever. And they're saying that they've carbon dated some trees they found in Australia that were preserved, and they're over 40,000 years old, and they have a better timeline now of what yeah, and there was higher levels of radiation for that so for 800 years that poles were flipped, and then they flipped back. And it like closed the gap in the radiation thing, and they're saying that it caused a bunch of like things to go extinct and things to change around here, but they're actually talking about they think it's happening again, or could potentially happen again.
Don't say that no.
Like this article was saying that if it did happen again, we obviously would be more prepared in our civilization is where we're at. I mean, You look at COVID and you think, I don't know,
right, the way they handle that, man.
Can't even wear a mask, but no, I mean, it's scary to think of, like a lot of things went extinct, but I think like we could maybe handle it. It would be very strange and difficult times. And some things wouldn't survive, but I think as human race, we probably would make it, figure out how to make it. But definitely some scary things to think about there. Weird how
that's interesting though.
Constant, they are always changing, which is weird, you know what I mean? But it's how it is. So
that is, and it would be kind of crazy to see how we would adapt. Like back then, there's caves. There's nowhere you can really go but the cave. But now you got so much technology and different things. How they would use that to assist in trying to keep the world at peace or at bay. It'd be crazy, man.
How much could technology play into helping rather than just retreating to caves and digging some underground, which probably would help, going
right. Do what the cavemen did, right?
Exactly. For a while, but they were saying too that they linked some cave paintings where they were using like a red handprint or something like that. Where the red handprint represented like being sunburnt or the sun being very hot or something like that. And so when they went and carbonated, they realized how much radiation was around during that time period. They're wondering how sunburnt these people are getting under the sun, and that's why the tribes in Australia still use the same red hand to symbolize that very hot sun or sunburn. Yeah. So that was crazy, is like they made that correlation because of the carbon dating that they found in these trees, and they're like, oh shit, now it makes sense. They just thought it was just like a symbol for the sun, but now they noticed that it came about around that time when that 800-year period had happened. So.
Yeah, and how just with that red handprint, like you said, just how hot was it? With radiation now, we know even us as humans get a little bit of it from the sun, but like how crazy was it back when there wasn't that much of that earth to cast that out to? So man, you got me thinking now. That's kind of scary. Oh,
just look it up. Like just look it up and just see how it went down. It was really crazy. They talked about it. I think it was on livescience.com or whatever. So,
okay, live science. Hold on, let me get that in. Livescience.com.
Because I mean, it's just like everything in the world today seems like could be the end of the world. It's like with COVID, and now they're talking about how new mutant strains are coming out. And it's like,
you know what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Help or whatever, but like, they're not sure if they will. And it's like now it's going to be our turn to take the vaccines. What are we going to do? Like, is it going to work? Are they just going to bullshit us and be like, it's going to work, so take it, and then you end up getting that shit anyway, and you thinking you're safe and shit. It's just very strange to me,
Yeah, I feel it, and good thing you kind of like segued into that. The only strange thing I could really think of, aside from what you had brought up, that is really strange. They, I guess, found like another case of the bird flu in Russia or something. Like, and I'm like, what? What do you mean? So my head's spinning now. Like with Corona, it's like, okay, so what is going on with this bird flu? Like, is that another thing we're gonna have to worry about? Because didn't this already happen? Like, so it's crazy to see, like you said, all the new things they're discovering, viruses and things, and to try and put a scare behind it, or is it real? Because it's like now we're getting a little tired of it. Look, we don't have COVID. We don't need 12 other viruses to be scared of. You know what I'm saying? So. It's interesting, man.
Yeah, it is. But another thing too, if you're mentioning bird flus and stuff, I did see something that there's been like a small Ebola outbreak too down in East Africa. So they were just reporting on that. So having that compounding the COVID problem is it's a real fucking issue, dude.
What's
crazy is all these fucking years, right? They had Ebola, right? Couldn't figure it out, right? We have COVID for 6 months. Next thing you know, we got a vaccine.
Right.
And you know why that is? In my opinion, it's because we got a lot of white people behind the COVID vaccine, and there's nobody pushing to figure out Ebola.
There's a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of greed behind trying to because to control it.
People are able to catch something. They want to make sure that they're protected.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard seeing it like that. Like I think it was somebody had made a comment on like Twitter, and it was, I think, Joe Biden getting the vaccine, or somebody in office getting it, and it was like, how is it that there are people who have died from this and families who have been affected and are still affected? How is it they are getting it, first, or they're, and it's like the priorities are already showing off with this, trying to get it to where it needs to be, and
elitist mentality.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, but it's just kind of like how the world evolves now, like or revolves, I should say. So
yeah, we kind of bought into the to that whole fucking system, by I mean, I'm not huge to buying into it, and I think you and I had this discussion before when I was out there, talked about working for something that you actually believe in, you know what I'm saying? You wake up every day and be like, I'm actually glad to go to work, and like not something that drones you the fuck out, you know what I'm saying? I think that's important, and I think that in the capitalist way that we live, it's just not feasible for everybody to get a job that they love and want to do. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it should be that way.
Right.
And I don't know how they solve that. I don't know if that's like they do universal basic income for people, or they do some sort of rebates like they've been doing with these, rent reliefs and with these other stimulus, how they get it done. But I think that moving away from that slave everybody out mentality, work for the one guy mentality, move a lot closer, at least closer to allowing people to do the things they want. Like if you want to stay home and fucking play video games, you should be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with that, and still be able to live a comfortable life. You should have a home over, roof over your head, basic electricity, basic internet and phone, and food to eat and water. You know what I'm saying? Those are things you should.
The necessities,
yeah, because right now there's too much inequality, like too much weighted on one side to the other. It's like you're a lot of extreme poverty and a lot of fucking really rich, and it's not really much in between anymore like they used to.
That middle class is definitely, I don't want to say dying off, because that's even scary to say, because I think the majority of people I know or people I've been around have been middle class. I've known some people who made it or make a lot of money, but I think, like you said, there is no middle point anymore. It's like you're either broke or you're struggling paycheck to paycheck, or you're stable. There is no in between. But I also liken that to, like, there's so much our money goes to now. Like, I mean, it isn't just so simple anymore. Everything is a subscription. Everything is like, in order to get the best, you got to pay this. You know, you can't just get it right out the box. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tactic, but it's like you said, we bought into it. And is that something we could buy out of, you know, especially with capitalism in America? It's crazy, but is that something we can buy out of?
Is hard. Buying out of it completely all at once is a hard thing to do. But I think if we take steps, you know what I'm saying? Multiple steps to try and wiggle out of it somehow, I think that everything would come out better. And I know a lot of people on the other side are like, you know, they want to cut spending. I don't understand why all these Republican supporters, I don't want to get, you know, Democratic, Republican, but it seems like they want to save the government's money and they don't want their money to be spent on this and that and this and that. But when it comes down to it, they're out there with their hands out when the stimulus check comes out. They're getting that money and they have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Majority anyway. And it's like, why not just stop with that and just allow the money to be used wherever it needs to be used and stop saying, all right, we need to spend more money than all the other countries in the entire world on our military, and let's start giving homeless vets places to live for free. Like it's in the budget for the military rather than trying to make some thing. Like there's ways around it, and you can think all day about like how could they solve these problems, and regular people like me and you could come up with fucking solutions, but these people getting huge amounts of money can't come up with a solution or even any better ideas.
It comes back to, like you said, just the greediness behind it. It's just, I mean, whether you grew up with money or you never seen it, which is crazy to me that there's some people who've just never experienced that, like either rock bottom or what it's like to not have something. And like you said, it's a mentality you grow into, and then you want everything for not for yourself per se, but you want those people in your tax bracket or your level to succeed. And you know that in order to do that, you got to take away from, you know, the smaller budget. And that's why a lot of it is, let's not give out a stimulus, or let's, you know, and they're obviously backing behind it. They have other arguments, but the core of it is like, there's people that need help. We can have it done like that, but you don't want it done. That's really the bottom line. It's not about, oh, well, if we do this, our government, it doesn't matter. There are people dying, losing money, housing, whatever, jobs, period. And you're deciding to make this decision to keep money away because you want to wait on it, or there's a different plan we could get to, or there's more money. No, like we need it now. And it's unfortunate that we have to kind of witness that now as, you know, the times go on, and if it can get any worse than it already has. But it's kind of a scary thing, but it's one of those bittersweets, you know, you're here to live it, but unfortunately, not everybody here is here for the same reason. So it's a scary thing now.
For me personally, I just think it's important to speak out on shit that I just don't think is right. Because sometimes, a lot of times, especially when you're fucking white, like it's, you know, you're raised in a fucking situation where you're all right with things as long as it goes your way. And I say that like coming from a true place from your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad in the long run, he was, not to say he was racist, but he definitely wouldn't have said something to somebody if he saw them being racist. Like he wouldn't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? And like when I was younger and I was into hip hop music and I wanted to dress like Allen Iverson and I wanted to have Allen Iverson and Puff Daddy and Mason, like all these rappers and basketball players on my wall. Like, and I was like, I want an Iverson jersey for my birthday. And he was like, oh, that kid's a punk.
Right.
Like,
off of,
cornrows with the baggy clothes, like this and that. And I'm like, who are you to say, like, what the fuck does it matter what he wears? Like, have you seen what he does in the basketball court? Like, and like, he's like, oh, talking about practice. I'm like, yeah, because he's speaking his mind. He can say what he wants. And you're trying to tell, you know, he was trying to tell me he shouldn't be saying anything. And, you know, it just became this thing where like, even at a young age, I started noticing it. So like, for me, I think speaking out is a huge fucking part of, or not speaking out, I'll say, is a huge part of the fucking problem that we have to deal with. So like, I'm quick to check anybody. I don't give a fuck who they are, especially these days. So I mean, that's just kind of like who I am, and it's like it's in my music, it's in everything that I do, really. You know what I mean? So it's good to have conversations about it.
It is. It's good to be. I know there may be people out there, and anyone watching the stream right now, you know, that think, well, it's so normal, or if I do speak out, where am I in the wrong? If something doesn't feel right, you see, in any situation, it is always good to speak out, you know, and let the people know, or whoever taking these causes of actions, whether it be a racist one or a violent one, or anything coming from hate from the heart. You just want to you really want to blatantly state that what's wrong with that situation. And I think without that, we wouldn't be as far as or progress as far as we are, especially with things like civil rights. And I mean, the fact that there's still an issue today is crazy, but those people that took those steps to make it where it is today.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue at all at this point, but we are here, and it's been brought to the forefront now. Whether that, I mean, you can look at it bad or good. You know what I'm saying? What Trump did to this country for 4 years. In a way, I know that Biden is no, he's a career politician. You're getting,
Definitely,
but you know what you're getting with Biden. You know what I'm saying? You know that he's not going to be grabbing him by the pussy. And he's not going to be.
That is still wild to me, man. Oh.
He's going to be classy about what he does. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's open and candid, and he shows empathy and does all the things that a person should do. And if he's working both sides of the aisle, if he's lining his pockets like every other politician or whatever he's done over these 40 years he's been doing, it is whatever, dude, because I mean that's what politicians do. What we need is a new party. We need like multiple parties. We need to just explore different options for the government. You know what I'm saying?
I remember seeing something on CNN about that a couple months back. They were just discussing the possibility of that happening in the future, just because of the craziness that's happened in the last 8 years of politics, especially with Donald Trump becoming president. I remember my mom cried when that happened because she was just like, "How? What? Like, really? He's not even fit to be here, and he's here." And then we had to talk, So it's just crazy to see if that could happen. I mean, the odds are endless, So it's
exactly if that can happen. What else is next?
Man,
what happens 4 years from now? You know what I'm saying? Do we have another extreme swing? Do we have some candidate who's not as stupid as Trump that gets in there and is able to actually maybe maneuver a little better than Trump could by being a little more cunning or whatever? Is that what we did? That's what I'm saying. And it's just a scary thing to think of when you look at what's happened in other countries like Myanmar and fucking, Argentina and fucking wherever else, people have been overthrown and the government's like, let's look back at Germany, fucking World War II. It's the same idea. He just didn't get as far this time with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And each step is another, each time is another step in like the wrong direction, but for them, including those people who think that is right, that they did that, it's just those broad aspects of life that you don't want to touch on, but you do because you're part of this big old grand scheme of things. So, man,
what to like actually speak your opinions out loud sometimes too, if you don't always get a chance to do that. But yeah, let's move on, man. Let's talk about your first projects that you've ever done. Or let's talk about those. How you were influenced to make those, and how those early first projects you made influenced you on what you made after that. Touch on that a little bit.
Okay, yeah. It's funny because as you emailed me the outline and I'm reading it, and today I went over it again, and I'm like, I wonder if I can do any of my first stuff. And the first thing that I had ever put out was called Acoustic Soul, and the reasoning behind that was it was just this take on like so many different people I had been watching at the time. Like I said, I had just joined choir in high school. I was making beats. I was playing piano. I could sing. So a lot of my influences came from people who did things acoustically. So it was like John Legend, another smaller name like Keena Grannis, Justin Nazuka, people like that back then were just super indie and super cool to me. And that's the route I really wanted to go. So a little, I guess, maybe Easter egg. I have the actual content up on ReverbNation.com. If you just type in Daniel Slade or Slade, it doesn't even matter. I think either one. Mm-hmm. And it's still there. And it takes, again, you listen to it and it's just this idea of really acoustic vibes matched with this energy of, I guess, music from the soul and talking and speaking about real things. You know what I'm saying? So I remember there's a song on there I wrote for my grandparents and them and their love they've had for each other. I believe they have been together since, the 8th grade. And it was crazy to see that for me. That was like the one true standing love I knew was my grandparents. Mom and dad always having issues, didn't stay together. I didn't really get to see that growing up. So I wrote a song about them. So it was really just acoustic music with the soul of someone, spitting this information about how their life was or what they really see love as. So it really drove me to keep going, I guess. And it's crazy that it's still up there, because that was 17-year-old me singing and doing the craziness, and I'm still here today doing music. So it really makes me feel good and happy that I'm still on this road to music. You know what I'm saying? So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
That's dope, man. I love, music that obviously it's easier to write music that you know about and you can easily pull from your life,
Mm-hmm.
So making songs that mean something to you, especially about your grandparents or any family members, and especially having it up is great. And it's great that you have it up, because I mean it's up forever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're saying it's still up. Well, yeah, it's probably going to be up forever. So hopefully,
Yeah.
you can look back on it 20 years down the road and be like, damn, 17-year-old me and I did this. And like, I just love that. I love that my music is out there too, and it's out there for good, I hope, on most of streaming stuff, and like everything I do kind of, like I said, has a purpose too. So it's nice when you can make songs like that about family or about situations
Mm-hmm.
you've been in and other people can relate to it. That's basically what you're kind of creating music for, in a way. At least for me, it's like half if what I say can relate to somebody, and half like my own therapy,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's another project I put out called Therapy, and that's what I thought of it as. I was like, this is what it is. It's my thoughts on paper, or nowadays as everyone does it, my thoughts on, like, I type everything in my phone now. Like I have like over 300 notes and songs, but yeah, like, it's just your thoughts, and then you harmonize it with the melody, and the best part about music is it doesn't even have to be a real instrument. You could do it with your mouth. You could do it with your, anything really, and it creates just this great energy to be able to hold that for so long. Like I'm still making music, like not to say that anyone isn't still doing what they were doing when they were 17, but like I'm still doing this like I was in high school, leaving school and going to make beats all day and not hanging out for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's still kind of doing that now, but seeing a bigger purpose for it. So I thought that was a really good question you threw in there, because it really makes you reflect, man. Like, what the first project? What? And then you see now, and you're like, man, it is 13 years later, and this is what's developed. It's like, if I could tell my younger self, like, you're gonna have so many, because there's all those points, and I hate to go off on a tangent, but it's just like I said, that question brought up so many good memories. But if I could tell my younger self, like, you're going to stop music in 2015 because you think that you want the married life, or you're going to 2013 get a job and think that you want to be a manager in music. And it's like every single one of those things were trumped by music. And like, I always thought to myself, is it time? Is it ending? And now I feel better than ever. And I feel like it's a lot is coming more from it. That just really allows me to be who I am today. And like I said, that question really just brings that out of you. Just like, wow, look where you are now, and look what came out 13 years ago. You're still on it. So
now, I don't know if you have done. So I remember we came up for a show that was like first Friday art walk or whatever, where they shut down all the streets and they have that was like in was that December of 2019?
Yeah, I think 2019.
The last show that you did, or did you do anything after that?
That was actually the last show that I did. But the reason being was because obviously 2020, riding into it, it was like everything was canceled in March. So, but that was the last show I did, and I was very grateful for that first Friday experience. And it was gonna be the start to like everything. And then, like I said, 2020 just became this whirlwind of
like you were building up for that show. And that show got you a ton of exposure, dude. And I remember I recorded that. I got the whole show. I recorded the whole thing that you did there.
You told me that. Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Down, and but it was just great exposure for you. They had a bunch of other great artists that were down there too, and I'm sure it was good for networking with you. But then boom, we get here with this pandemic, and it kind of slows down. What has that been like for you, having to deal with the thought of like, all right, this is it, I'm hitting my groove, and then having like a flat tire like happen?
When I tell you, I've experienced every emotion possible since then, boss. Like it's just I can't even explain it. Look, I'm like I cannot explain the process it took to get myself to be where I'm still at, and I know you probably do know, because you are a musician, and that took a toll on anybody, especially whether you were class A musician, whatever, class B, whatever. From J. Cole to the local artists you know now, like it affected everyone. So, but it was hard to manage at first because you're like, what do I do now? Like that show was the stepping stone to here's my next show, and I don't have any more shows. So, and what ended up happening is kind of how I mentioned earlier. I just ended up staying home and making beats, and it led to I made like 4 projects in like 6 months. It was crazy. Yep. But it was still 2020, so I didn't release any music. And it was like, now you got all this music that you're sitting on, but it got me again where I am today. So that's just kind of a nutshell. I mean, we could talk probably for the next 5 hours about 2020, but it's the emotions you feel. Me being a man, 28-year-old man, the emotions you feel from that takes you to a whole new level. Like I cried more than I've ever cried in 2020, like in my whole 28 years of life.
That dumb shit too, right? You just like watch a video or something on like scroll.
Yeah.
Shit, you'd be like, oh, and you'd be like, I've been in the house for too fucking long right now.
Or you see something you remember from 2 years ago, and you're like, now we're stuck in the house. Because this was, again, to anyone watching and everyone watching, this was like right when it started. We're talking, we don't know what we know now, that we didn't even know we were being told the vaccine wouldn't be here till 2021. So like, or 22, sorry. And it was crazy. So the beginning of that, everything affected you, whether it be your friends, your family. I know I had a big disconnect with a lot of my friends and family in general that I know for years. And it wasn't on purpose. It was never on purpose. And it was just because of everything that was going on. Like your energy was being sacrificed so many different places. And then on top of that, here's 2020 for you. Here's COVID. Here's health regulations that are going out. Here's places that are closing down. Here's jobs that are being lost. And on top of that, we're going to talk about it every day. So it was like, I wanted anyone that ever got affected by that to understand it was never on purpose, but we were all in such a deep, dark place. And now we're all coming out of that. So 2020 was crazy. I mean, like I said, emotionally, it was, I mean, I know I didn't experience as worse as people have, and I know a lot of people lost a lot of family. Rest in peace to any of those lost to the COVID virus and anything else from last year, period, up to now.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that have passed away that didn't need to. But I mean, you know, we could have done better. We should have.
Right. I mean, I don't even like think about it. Like I said, just the vast majority of people who were just affected by going outside, or someone who said, I didn't want to wear a mask today, or, you know,
anxiety it brought to a lot of people, the uncertainty it brought to people, the job losses it brought to people. It just affected almost everybody. You could probably walk down the street. Well, I mean, when this is all better, and I mean, 9 out of the 10 people have been affected by it in some way, whether they lost somebody, they lost their job. You know what I mean? For the most part, everybody was affected in some way. And
I get chills when you say that, because when it first started, again, if everyone could kind of take a step back to when it first started, we were being told, oh, you're not going to know anyone that got it. It's so small. And then it got to, well, at least one person that you know in your immediate family may have it. And then it got to, everyone's going to know at least 10 or 5 or 10. It was crazy. And then it happened. Like, I've known people who've had it, people who've had family members die from it. And it was this phenomenon that happened that we never experienced, at least from our generation standpoint. And then it took over, man. And I'm glad to say, though, that I'm here today to be able to, you know, speak on it and add knowledge to the rest of what's going on with that, and continue to do music, man. Being on this podcast, being here with you, and for those opportunities. I hate to get sentimental, but that's what 2020 is going to do to you, man. It's gonna bring that out, man. It's talking about it. And it's always good energy, though. But it was a tough year, but I'm just glad we're here to be able to, you know, speak on that, man.
So just keeping on this influences and whatever else subject. Are there any? I know that you probably listen to hip hop, R&B, and stuff like that. What else are you listening to besides that, or is that pretty much what you listen to? Because I know a lot of people, it's either like they stick with a couple genres or they listen to like almost everything. You know what I mean? And I'm the type. Few genres that I like, and pretty much that's it. You know, but what are you listening to besides that?
Besides that, I would tell you a lot of lately Fleetwood Mac. I know that sounds funny, but
Fleetwood Mac,
man, it's been a lot of a real good energy, like I said, good vibes lately, and that's just like the only thing that takes me there. I have a whole playlist of R&B and rap and stuff, and not saying that those songs aren't great and respect to every genre, but the way that every song is just, it's just so peaceful. So I would say that's the first thing. I've just been listening to a lot of them outside of hip hop, period. And then other than that, I took a stab into, now don't hate me here, don't judge me, but I had took a stab into like K-pop. I had to get like what was so big about this. And I went into it, and it's just like, I get it. It's almost just, you know, those crazy American pop songs like, oh, number one, because they're just funny, or they're like that Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen, like that went crazy. And it was like, that song was so simple. It's the same thing over there. It's just, it's Korean pop. So I was like, okay, but I didn't really take anything from it, but I had to take it. I was like, everybody's talking about this, from rappers to singers to everybody. My mom was even talking about it. So
what did you think of it though?
I thought it was really, like I said, it was just like a mirror of American pop. And I feel good that, because I don't know the stipulations in Korea or the Asia, anything like that as far as music or releasing it, but I know that it seems like for them, it's come a long way, because I don't think that's always been the case out there where they've been able to make music and be so in the American eye. Because those, I forgot what band it is. It's some, I forgot what they are, but
BTS.
Yeah, they are great. Like, it's crazy how famous they are out here, and they're, you know what I'm saying? So like the impact it's had, not only I'm sure on their lives, but the country of Korea, period. It's crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I did watch like 5 or 6 videos because I was like, this is catchy as hell, and I can get down with some of this. But it's really cool to see it, man.
Yeah, it's
it
like
is
happy, uplifting kind of music.
Yeah, it was no songs were.
Yeah,
whether it be this
like Justin Timberlake's kind of shit.
Yeah, like some NSYNC, like
like them, like, you know what I'm saying? Just like they're like 20 years behind out there. You know what I'm saying? They're just getting their boy bands together right now.
Yeah.
Starting to sound real good. They're having, that's like flashback for us. Like, oh damn, that's like NSYNC in them, right?
And it's crazy. Like, we gonna see all the fallout. Somebody gonna get a record label career off a single, and then it's gonna be just like you said, it's gonna be history repeating itself, but from that different viewpoint, from halfway across the globe. Which is, like I said, music has come so far that it's cool to see them take it to that next level. So it was interesting. I would say, you know, I enjoyed it and refer it to someone who was looking for some new out the box music to vibe to if they like to.
Hell yeah. Sure. So what's your process though for like recording? Are you using like a studio? Do you record yourself at home, and like do you do mastering? And who are you using for distribution? You got any distribute, like anything out on Spotify or anything like that right now? Or
well, right now, if we touch on that, the only thing I know I have on Apple Music, Spotify, shout out to B from the Ave. It's one of the local artists out here in Phoenix. He's putting on for Vineyard, and I'm on one of his songs, This Rain. And that's one of his first projects he's dropped on Apple Music, is B from the Ave. And that's the only thing I'm on featured. Other than that, to kind of break into the process, I record from home, everything from home. I got my it's an MK3, the drum machine with my MacBook, really, and that's 2 monitors is really what I record on, and this little Yeti mic I got now. I'm still trying to configure that, how to sing into that, but it's been like that for a while. I've never really not had a home studio. You've had those pockets of life where things just had to go, but that's how I've enjoyed it and liked it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, where this things is.
Yeah, you gotta be like, you know what? I can't have this anymore.
Man, that hurts. Woo.
It does, but then, you know, you get it back, and it's like, you know, usually you build back better, you know, than you had.
Yeah,
hopefully,
definitely.
You're hoping it goes, but that's cool. So you do everything kind of at home and everything else, and you're getting a self-taught that kind of like look at videos, kind of just go through it, learn how you go, whatever.
Yeah, so definitely self-taught. I wish I had and I hate to say it like this, but like the mental capacity to sit in a room and learn everything from the textbook. That's just not, I don't thrive like that. Like I said, since I'm young, I've learned piano since by playing by ear. It's just like, if I could teach myself, I feel more comfortable learning it my way, adding my spin to it. But aside from that, yeah, Like I'll go on YouTube and because I don't know how to master yet. I want to go to school for that though. That's the adult me talking. I do want to go to school to learn how to EQ and drop, all that stuff, man.
Masterclass on that for cheap.
Look, man, I'm looking. I need to learn.
And you spend a couple hours with me, and I'll have you mastering a lot better.
That's perfect
too.
That's all I need, man. I need to I want to know that my kick sounds perfect. My snares I'm talking crazy. Sounds good. Yeah. I want to get the right levels because it makes the difference, man. People think you can just put a beat out.
A lot of that shit for your drums and shit, like I was noticing, a lot of that just comes down to compression. That's all that is.
Right.
So I don't know what you're using the machine. Are you using for a program with that?
I'm using the machine program, and it has I have some wave bundles that I have that you can integrate into, which is really cool. It gives you a whole touch. It's crazy.
So whatever.
Shout out to machine. Yeah.
Whatever channels your drums are on, like your kick will be on whatever channel. You just gotta compress those channels. Turn the compression on the effects on those channels. Okay. Either link them all together and put them on one compression, and then just fuck with the compression till your shit comes up. That's one of the first things that you can do is just mess with the compression on just your drums. You know what I'm saying? It kind of will bring that above your melodies or whatever else is playing and give it a little bit of pop.
That's what I want, man. I want those.
That's where I'd start for that. But yeah, sounds good, man. I'm kind of self-taught too in a way. I've just been doing it for like a fucking really long time. I had started early on. I was it was 1999 when I first started fucking with shit. I had Gold Wave, had FL Studio, and I used to chop my samples in Gold Wave. I pull them off a CD or something, or pull them off MP. We had Napster back then or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd pull them off there or whatever, and I'd cut the sample in Gold Wave. It's a very visual program, like Cool Edit or whatever. You see the waveform, it's like you see it, and I would listen, and then I would cut the sample where I thought it was good, and then I bring it over to FL Studio, and I didn't know much about chopping or slicing or whatever, and I'd try to make it work. And sometimes I would fucking have a drum loop and a sample, and I cut the sample and I put a drum loop and I would just mix it into the sound in Gold Wave, and then I would take that and that's not right, and then I'd stretch it out, paste it again. That's pretty good. And it was really janky, and that's how I started. So once I got FL Studio though, I was damn, this is so much easier, you know what I'm saying? And it still took me 10 years to learn how to do it well. I was using it, and people thought it was great, but when I look back at the shit I did in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 2010, 11, it was fucking janky, like I said, there was no compression on the drums. It's the mixes weren't right. It just didn't sound like how I have.
I know to feel it, man.
These days, how I know how to craft my sound, if you will, these days. And that just comes with, once you find it, you just gotta, this is what I'm gonna do every fucking single time, so that everything I put out has the same sound, sonically. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's gonna have the same instruments and shit, but sonically anyway, you want it to sound the same and have a signature sound. At least you want it to bang and be solid in the fucking speakers and in the headphones too. So sure.
And it's your process behind that is one that I favor. I can't say that is always the best, because you have kids out here who will get a computer and Fruity Loops, and they never learn, like you said, that wasn't the original process. If you had all the money in the world, you could have went and bought Fruity Loops out the box and learned how to, you know what I'm saying? But you had to use your surroundings, your resources to make something work, and not even to where it was perfect, just to where it was good for you. And to me, that is so cool when we are able to take, what our surroundings and whatever we have to use electronically or, outside of the box to make our music. So, and like you said, it may take you 10 years to learn it, but it's something different about being able to look back and reflect on, hey, I used to chop samples from one program and drop them into Fruity Loops and take them back out and mix the drums. It's different than, I got my first drum machine, computer, and all of this, and I was already out the box ready to go. Like I said, no difference between the two. I know some great producers that learn like that now, and some that have our same experiences from being from just, the scraps of what we had. But like I said, I favor that other, because it's just when you can reflect on, dang, I really did it back when there was, like you said, from a CD, there's kids who go on YouTube today and oh, here's what I want to sample, and there it is. I got it. You had to break it down from a CD off of that. It's crazy, man.
Off of CD. A CD was the thing back then. And even when I had my first MPC 2000 XL, I would just have a Discman or whatever. You put CD in there and you just run it. You pick the part you want. You record it on the MPC, then you cut it all in the little window on the MPC. That was hard. You know what I'm saying? Not like today. You can just use a mouse and you got a 24-inch monitor. You can like even the brand new MPC's got a 10-inch touchscreen. You know?
Yeah.
Back when I was in high school and I was doing this, and this was the difference between when you know someone is doing this music and doing this fucking hip hop or this music or whatever, and they're doing it for real. Like, this is how you can tell the difference between a real artist or a musician or someone who's really about it and someone who's just like about it for like because they want to say they do it, right? So I knew this kid in high school. I was with a group of kids and I was just getting started with the music thing. I was making beats. Matter of fact, I sold beats. They weren't even that great. I look back, I'm like, damn, how did I even sell beats? I don't know, but I did. And so people were rapping on my beats, and then this kid I was in high school with introduced me to a kid he met in private school. Right, because I was going to public school, and this kid I met, Tony Gilardi, showed up my senior year. I didn't know who he was, but he was from the area, and I was from a couple towns over, but that was our high school. We had to go there, you know what I'm saying? And so I met this kid senior year, and everybody else kind of already knew him because he was from the area, but I didn't because I just went to high school there in 9th grade, and he was in a private school until senior year. So he shows up, he's got money, all this fucking shit. He's like, I was in a band, and da da da. I'm like, word. And he's like, I know this kid out in Cape Elizabeth, which is like one of the richest towns in Maine. He's got like an oceanfront fucking mansion, right? This kid he knew. He's got a studio in his basement, and he'll fucking like he makes beats too, and he'll fucking like let you record over there, bring everybody because I had people hitting me up, they wanted to record, but I had nowhere to record because I lived like at my mother's house and I have shit but a old desktop that I was making beats on that was shitty and slow as fuck. And so like he's like, yeah, so I'm like, word, let's go there and fucking I'll meet this kid. His name was Anthony Struzieri, I think was his name, right? And so he's like, yeah, I make beats, and he showed us a couple of beats, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And he's like using like real drums in the beat, and like it was cool. It was like a cool idea and everything. It was like real eclectic, like, but it wasn't real like hip hop, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of like jazzy, like coffee shop kind of like music.
Yeah, you know? I feel it. Yep.
It wasn't even that great. It was like a band kid at school, like playing the drums in the band, like, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, all right, word. And then I put my beats in, and he's just like staring at like me, staring down at his. He had this huge fucking mixing machine. He had like fucking 16, 30 channels on. I don't even know.
Golly.
Yeah, his whole basement of this mansion, bro. I'm shitting you not. It was huge. You come down the stairs and you enter into the control room, and it was like his board. He had like a big thing, and he had a big window that you looked through, and he could see in there. And it was a big enough room to have a whole band in. And he had 3 mics hooked up in the room, and he had like a drum set in there, and he had like guitars, basses, whatever you know. It was just in there. And then if you took a left and you walk down the hallway a little bit, there was a living room with a fucking couch, TV, fucking chair. There was a bathroom down there. There was a small kitchen, dude, in all downstairs in the studio. So this place was fucking crazy, right? So we record a bunch of my first shit with all these people when I was working on mixtape, and end up getting into it with this kid towards the end of it, like because of like how he was trying to infiltrate. Every time someone would come over to record, he'd be trying to like give them beats, and they didn't want his beats. You know what I'm saying? They were like, we don't want these beats. We're here with these beats. We already wrote songs, and then we're not really feeling it. But he was the guy that recorded that, so they didn't want to break. They didn't want to be mean. So they weren't just going to be like, these beats are whack. They're kind of like playing around. And eventually, it came to the point where like, we don't want to go there anymore because he's always trying to give us his fucking beats, and we don't want them.
Yeah, man, we get to break it to you. We're just here to record, but we don't need your beats.
And long story short, we end up not recording there anymore. And you fast forward like 10 years, 15 years, whatever. And I'm where I'm at, and I'm still fucking making music. And this guy's fucking selling insurance for a living. You know what I'm saying? And he hasn't made any music in his entire life. There's nothing online. You know what I'm saying? So I oftentimes wonder, what happened to that basement? Did they finish it out and make it like an apartment, or what'd they do? Because he certainly isn't fucking using it. And he must have had like $10,000-$15,000 worth of fucking recording equipment. Easy,
man.
He was a sophomore in high school too. So.
With that equipment, like that's it sucks because it's like I said, kind of goes back to when, and that sucks. I hate to use that word, but when we were making, like I said, from our days of taking beats from CDs or the way we did it with drum machines to programs in the computer, and then you get people who like him, a sophomore, with all this equipment. You could have did anything, and now you're selling insurance. Like what? What is going on? Like no, like. I wish we would have.
He went to school for it too. That was the thing. Like he was planning. Like he was 16 years, had all this shit, and he was going to a school for engineering and audio recording and shit. And then like nothing ever came about from it. He's just selling insurance now or working for, doing some shit like that, which is what he just should have did to begin with. And it's cool that people want to try their dreams, but if you're just doing it for like the clout, and back then we didn't really say that, you know what I'm saying? But now we gotta say that, like. motherfucker was just clout chasing is all he was doing. He just was like, I'm gonna set a studio up and people will come here to record and I'll be able to be like, you know, this and that, where I had the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm making beats at school. I'm staying after school to use their computers because mine fucking broke, you know what I'm saying? And I'm using fucking loops and shit and literally pasting them together, and then I sell that fucking beat to some MC like that I pasted together in Goldwave after class, you know what I'm saying? And like this kid is like just sitting in his fucking studio his parents bought for him the whole time, smoking joints, you know what I mean? Like,
see, it's just like the people that don't appreciate it, man. Like I said, I can't say it because I want to know. I like that we're where we're at because of what happened when we were, you know, the process we took. I can't say that if I had a SSL and some Rocket Studio speakers and a big studio where I'd be now, but it was just like, how is it you let that go to waste? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way you had any interest in music if you had all of that and you're now not doing anything with music. It just doesn't. It just
you are too, like, about it was crazy. Like, I always tried to show love to everybody. You know, you try to get that back. You know what I'm saying? I always show love to everybody. I remember you were like, yeah, I'm doing a show this Friday, blah, blah, blah. I show up at the show. You're like, damn, I didn't think you were coming.
I did. Man, I told like 20 people in the class. You know, we had a full class and like, you know, you get the, I'll be there. Yeah. It's Friday night. Yeah. And it's like, nah.
I showed up, fam. I'm like, no, we're going. Like, I want.
That was dope, man.
That was my fucking. That half my reason for going out there was to find people like you, so that I could continue to make music when I got out there. Like that was the whole goal. And for the first couple of months, I hadn't met anybody. You know what I'm saying? It was like you guys were like, literally the first people I met in the first class. It was almost like it was meant to be in a way.
I love it, man. I love it because that energy, like I said, that you brought to come into the show. And I'm sure I'm not saying that what you did the rest of the night, but that's where you would go. Like, that's so much talent down there. I mean, coming out from Phoenix, Arizona, and that's just the tip of the iceberg there at First Fridays.
That group 90 sitcom was another dope group that came out of there that I heard.
Those two young boys, they're pushing music all the time, and it's crazy because like you remember them, you know, and you're way out. And it's, I don't know if they're watching this. I know I follow them on Instagram, but like if you're not watching it, like 90 sitcom is another great group right out of Phoenix, Arizona, and the fact that you're in another area, country, some part of the country, and you know about them, that's what people need to start realizing. It's like, it may not be you get 1 million followers in a week, but you know someone halfway across the country that knows your band's name or your group's name. That's crazy. That's big.
Some wristbands that they gave out at the concert that night.
Right, and it's that part of not, I wouldn't say marketing, but just take a little side note. That really we need to understand as musicians, especially independent musicians, is that kind of work goes a long way. So I'm glad you came out that day. I know you found, I'm sure, a lot of talent and interesting people that you could follow or look at. And it sucks that was the last one, but
I know, yeah. No, but there'll be more, and hopefully we can get out there for more of those. And then, you know, beyond that too, you know, just speaking on Phoenix in general, they got so much unique talent when it comes to hip hop because they have so many different styles and sounds too. You can like visit, you know, different areas and get different styles, and like it's really unique in that way where it's like people think of Phoenix, you got almost 7 million people that live in the Phoenix area, but you got Mesa and you got Scottsdale and you got out by you guys Tolson or whatever, and you got like all these little subsections, and each area has like its own unique style of like making music. And I was learning that when I was out there, but it's just unique that how Phoenix is like that. It's so diverse because there's a lot of like native people who from Phoenix and like that area, but then there's a lot of transplants too that come from everywhere else. So you get a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
It's a lot. So it's really dope, man.
It's like the melting pot. Like, it's crazy you say getting those people from everywhere else and the transplant of people. And it's just, we got a lot of people from Chicago out here. You know, you got a lot of people coming out from New York. A lot of East Coast, Midwest people that I would say not cultivate the sound, but they influence it. And then let's say you go to South Phoenix, and that's more of African Americans out there, Black people. So that's where B from the Av is from, and he's definitely more of a down. It's crazy. You can hear the differences in West Phoenix. It's because of what was influencing. Like if you go to West Phoenix now, 19th Ave and Glendale and 27th Ave and Camelback, you're going to see a lot of people from Chicago and a lot of people that migrated there from the Midwest. And that's maybe where their sound is. The influences by people from Chicago, like Lil Durk and Kanye and things like that. And then the South Side is, like I said, was just from Arizona from the beginning, just a lot of Black people. So there's going to be a lot of smoother music, old soul music, older like influences. So it is crazy you say that, and it's like I said, that was just the tip of the iceberg that first Friday, and I know the evolution of Phoenix music is taking off, man, and I'm glad I'm gonna be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So.
Hell yeah, man, for sure, dude. You're just a man of many talents too, and I'm glad that you're still maintaining this mind state of continuing kind of where you left off once things get back to normal. And I know a lot of people who are doing that. They're maintaining that. We want to just have that mentality of staying relevant, just doing shit, keeping it moving or whatever. So that's dope. But yeah, right now is typically when we're going to take a little bit of like a smoke break.
Okay, cool.
If you've got any topics I think that you want to bring up and speak about, now would probably be a good time. I thought this would probably be a good time for that if that's what you want to do. We can definitely talk about it. Definitely want to let you know, though, also that the smoke break is sponsored by Fire on 4. So visit them and get your bit of Medcard.
Heck yeah, Fire on 4, baby. Let me see. I just enjoy this being able to talk about music. First and foremost, just I love it, man. And it's not that you often get to do it because, again, I don't force this on anyone. My friends know, like, I'm not telling my friends be a musician because I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone has their own thing, but to be able to deeply have those conversations, and there's a few of my boys I can have that conversation with, and it's always good. I could talk about music forever, man. I could be on here forever. But one thing I want to bring up with you is kind of like to get your opinion on it. What do you think of like this new age of distribution and like marketing for music? And I guess where I'm coming from is, do you think it helps the independent artists today, or do you think it's something that hinders them because there's no more going out to promote your music on the street and getting a CD, and it's really everything is just done online? Do you think that's like it's better for someone to feel that way, or is it, or to do it that way, or is it hinder them if they try to do it the other?
Nowadays, it's like I feel like you can just build your own distribution because you're going to end up with more of what you want out of it. And I'm not sponsored by in any way by Songtrader, but I do always advocate for Songtrader because Songtrader allows you to upload unlimited amounts of releases, and you can even release under different names. So like if you are releasing for somebody else, like somebody you're like, yo, I'm gonna put a fucking song out, I got an account, it's easy, boom, you can do that. Or adding features, it doesn't take away from that. Like literally can do everything, and all they take is 10% of your royalties, so you don't pay anything monthly, you don't do none of that. So you keep 90% of what you make. That's their normal contract, but since they've had COVID, they've been letting everybody keep 100% of it.
Oh, that's dope, man.
But when they do go, but they have that plan where you give 10%, they keep 90%. And they also have like a pro plan where you pay like $49 a year. I can't remember if it's a year or a month. And you keep 100% of your profits that way. But right now that's kind of keeping 100%. But I always recommend them because, like I said, unlimited releases. If you want to put a single out every week, like they don't care, and they're good about things too. Like every time I put something up, it's like it could be 2 weeks and it's out. If you want it as soon as that, boom, 2 weeks, it could be out. Sample clearance, I've had very good luck with them. I use
nice.
And I've had no holdups with it. One time they were like, what's up with this sample for a song I put out, Seed of Memory, which was back beginning of February. And I just hit them with the TrackLib contract, and they never asked me again.
Oh, sick, man. I know sample clearance is an issue for a lot of people right now.
So if you're having trouble with that, Songtrader is really good about it.
Songtrader.
Okay. Yeah, it's songtrader.com, but they're really dope about it. So distribution wise, I always say look into that. If you're, like I said earlier, my company Elevate Music LLC, we got the website, we do promo, we do distribution. So if you're looking for distribution, just reach out, you know what I'm saying? And we can set something up for you as well. Right along those same lines, you know what I'm saying? Like we help people get their distribution set up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking money off the top of it. I'm helping you get your distribution set up for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're saying it doesn't come with a fee, but usually it's going to go along with you bought a beat or you're going to make a song, you know what I'm saying? And I'll make sure that you get distribution for that song and moving forward. I do that for a lot of people. So
that's crazy, man. I'm so, man, because there's a lot of stuff coming, man. I'm telling you. And I know that's a big thing for me, distribution is just how am I gonna present it?
Right.
Where is it gonna go? And
I just think if you reach out Song Trader, they'll definitely be able to handle everything that you need to do, and it's not going to cost you a goddamn penny. So I think you ought to reach out and just do it. If you're thinking about releasing something, just try out the website. You got to use your desktop. Some people are like, "Oh, I want to use my phone." They don't have an app where you can upload music from your phone. It's got to be from the desktop computer. But other than that, like, it's feature rich. You can make your own artwork right on the thing, but I usually don't use it. But you can, you know what I mean? So they have some features. It's pretty dope. But in the meantime, I wanted to touch on, since we're talking about Phoenix and unexplained phenomenon, like I wanted to touch on the Phoenix Lights a little bit. Like, what was the lure, like the lore around the Phoenix Lights? Like, as you were growing up, I know you're probably a kid when it happened, but I know through the years you probably heard stories, either first, second, third hand, whatever it is, about the Phoenix Lights. Are there any stories about that kind of like night or whatever, that time period, that stand out to you, or what?
not anything that stands out to me. Like you said, I was a kid, so I really didn't really start hearing anything about it until I got older, 13, 14. I know my friend Jesse Brunson, he had like a video, I think it was a Snapchat video. It was almost like it happened again. It was like 2015, and that could be wrong, but I know it was a video of something, and it was something over Arizona. It was this huge flash, and I think he got it. But that was like the closest I got to anything that had happened since '97 when the Phoenix Lights happened. But really, when I was younger, I just remember hearing people talk about it and maybe seeing a couple things on the news. But it's now, as I'm an adult, you start, like you said, before the podcast had started, we were talking about the movies that it came out, the lore behind it, everything that you look up, and when you actually really go back and kind of do your little research on it, it's just so broad to think that there could be another life form out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that happened in Phoenix, and it's what got covered up. And if you could jump down in that rabbit hole and you'll get far, and then it ends up being like this happened here, and it wasn't the only thing. It was almost like those little statues that they had found recently in that I think it was Asia. I can't remember, but they were just all over the place, and it's just like phenomenons.
Yeah, that whole Phoenix Lights thing, they made some like movies about it. I don't know if they were very good movies, but they made some movies, they made some documentaries, which were pretty cool. And of course, they have a lot of footage from that day, which is really, I guess, in the case of the Phoenix Lights, is really unique as far as UFO sightings go. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that make it stand out. And I remember when I was out there and we were doing our, touring around the Phoenix area, brought the kids to the Natural History Museum or whatever, and we ended up seeing they had a display there about the Phoenix Lights, so the kids could learn about it. It was like, you could touch the button and it would like light the lights up on the wall. It looked like they were in the sky and stuff. It was pretty cool. And to have something like that be in the Natural History Museum, like, it's something, it's big, you know what I'm saying, because it's a phenomenon. We don't know what it is, but it's in the museums. That's how big of a deal it was for people out there. For a long time they talked about it, try to figure out what it would be, and
like, this is a part of history, like, this is official, this is something you need to learn about. Like,
oh yeah, that's what it's in the museum, so it's obviously important to them for sure.
You said there was some video. I'm just trying to see if anything recent now that we're discussing it. And it's crazy because now it's like, wow, you should see. I have to tab those. I don't want to pull all those up right now. But I think that if there is any life form out there, and if you can hear me, just come now. I just want to know. Who's out there, man. I think we just recently landed on Mars. Like, the world is getting bigger, man. And
yeah, things are crazy these days, and they're only going to get crazier. Like fucking cloning and fucking all kinds of weird shit going on. Face and hand transplants.
And let's not get started on GPS tracking.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And oh my god, the world. Hold on, let me just take a little hit from this baby. This bad boy.
So yeah, typically we'd move on and talk about your top 5. So we do like a top 5s. Usually I pick something: songs, artists, producers, beats, fucking verses, something. You know what I'm saying? And we just go random right off the top. What's your top 5? So
okay,
what do we say? Let's do who are your top 5 like artists?
Okay, so you know this is a very broad topic. So are you saying all time? Or are we saying like right now? Like,
Yeah, like all time, if you could fucking only listen to these 5 artists for the rest of your
Woo-hoo-hoo.
life. Who's it gonna
Okay, let's go. Let's go. I like that. I like that. Top 5 all time. Hate me if you want to. He's either 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5 on your list. Drake. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I had to put him in there. His
October.
catalog. Yeah. Lil Wayne. Obviously, I mean, if you weren't there in 2008 and 5 and 6 and 7 and all that, his greatness, the greatest of his years, you may not understand, but you're talking the Drought 3, the Drought series, period. You're talking about Carter 2. That's such a classic. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're talking about albums, that's definitely in there too. Just had to throw that out there. But Jay-Z, the only reason I bring him up, I know a lot of people are like confused, like you don't ever listen to Jay-Z like that, but I do because my brother loves Jay-Z. And 2, he always speaks truth. Like there's nothing Jay-Z's ever lied about in his lyrics, ever. And you can humble yourself with that. Like this man always talks about the same thing, but it's always the truth. And he's a billionaire from it, man. Like it's crazy. These last 2 are always a toss-up for me. It's always between the 2, I would say, realest spitters as far as like soul music. It's always a split between Kendrick and J. Cole because I always feel like I can't put them in the same because they're like the same to me. So Kendrick Lamar, definitely, because Good Kid, Mad City did something to me, man. That was I didn't cry when he lost that Grammy, but I was pissed as hell when he didn't get Album of the Year for that, man.
Project, incredible vision that he had with that album. Man.
Yeah, man, at such a young age and telling the story.
Made you like fucking listen to shit on repeat.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole album really was just from beginning to end, and I could still to this day put on any song from there and bump. So Kendrick's obviously in there, and then number 5 would be Logic. And I know you probably like, well, J. Cole and Logic are the same. Not really. To me, Logic is a little bit different because he's expanded his catalog in so many different ways. He's a writer now. He's making movies. He's a producer. A video game streamer now or something like that. But it's just like to be able to. That's one artist I would say I relate to most because for one, he's like biracial and he's a rapper. He talks about it a lot, but it gets his point across. But it also just like his first album, what was it called? Oh, he made it with no ID. I can't believe I'm blanking on his first album. I could see the picture in my head, but that I remember listening to that at work every day in 2014, and it was like the Good Kid, Mad City. It was a story, and it was like, dang, from beginning to end, he tells that story, and I could listen to that album from. Again, every day if I had to. So all these artists I've named all have an album that really impacted me, and that's why I chose them. It's music that I could. Well, Drake is just Drake, album or not. He got music for years and years, so like that's just it. But the rest of them, they've all had a touch of.
Drake always seems to find a way to make.
Yeah, he does, man.
Every single year.
He's gonna be around. Yeah, he's gonna be in the news. I don't think there's a year we've gone without Drake since he's been Drake in 2010. But that's the top 5 for me right there. And like you said, I'm glad you put that behind it as far as like I had to listen to the rest of my life, these people, because there's just so much music they got and still going. Jay-Z with 444 recently, and Wayne's got I think a new album that just came out, or Carter 5 that finally came out, and all this stuff that's still going on, and they're almost in their 40s. Like what? So all these artists I know have longevity and again have inspired me in some kind of way when it comes to music. So
Jay-Z damn near 60, I thought.
I mean, he's 55, about 53 up there, bearing the cane already. No, but he just came out with a new song too with Nipsey Hussle. So it's like
Jay-Z because in the truck, I remember a couple times I might have been in the truck playing some Jay-Z, and you guys, especially I think your brother said something like, "Oh, you listen to this?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." I'm from there. Like this is like the main staple of like what I'm listening to. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay-Z since day one, like the Reasonable Doubt. Like I was just like, wow, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like to have him come out, just the way that he seemed so effortless on everything. Like he wasn't even trying. You know, it was just
his flow, just up and down on the beat, and he's just telling the story. Yep.
Story too. That's the thing. Like he was telling us, like a person like me, especially coming where I come from. Like, I mean, I may have been like poor growing up and stuff. Like, I came from Maine, no matter how you look at it. You know what I'm saying? So like, he had like lived in apartment buildings, and they weren't that nice. And I never knew what it was like to be like living down in New York or in the projects, and you could visualize how it was like growing up or like being around down in Marcy, you know, because of Jay-Z and how he put
his lyricism.
Hell yeah. How about producers? What are your top 5 producers tonight?
Producers. I'm an old head. Like I said, I speak from the soul. So a lot of my producers on my name right now, because this is a question I had to think about when I was reading the outline. Because there's so many, and you know, producers today. There's so many. There's a plethora, but I'm gonna take it back to what I first got inspired by. I'm gonna say Pharrell and the Neptunes right off the bat. Pharrell and the Neptunes. Pharrell by himself, period, could be one person, but I respectfully, because his group is the Neptunes. Pharrell and the Neptunes. Timbaland was a big inspiration for me, not only because he was his sound has changed the game completely with Missy Elliott and Aaliyah, but just his instrumentation. He never used like the same sounds, and you knew it was a Timbo beat. You just knew like the Timbaland made this. This doesn't sound like anybody else. Mm-hmm. And Swiss Beats was another one because he had that same longevity with DMX going with like the tambourines and the whole Rough Rider movement. You can tell it's a Swiss beat from DMX to Lil Wayne to Meek Mill. It doesn't matter who he's with, it's always going to sound the same. And I know that they all have their own sound. I tried to keep it really relevant as far as like newer producers because I feel like I'm just naming off old people. But again, that's who I'm really inspired by. I know this is gonna be out the blue, but another one is Tyler the Creator, and I say that because his instrumentation on everything is crazy. Like his live instrumentation, at least in his perception of music, like his last album Igor, and the fact that he was able to just make a whole new sound from his voice and pitching it up and making it's just crazy the way they do that, and it inspires you because that's the stuff I like to do. You know what I'm saying? So
new things, which is dope.
Yeah. And then I had to get the respect to the man. I bought his beat pack. I got like all his shit. The Alchemist is crazy. He brings it, man. His tone of music, his whether it be the way he had his snares compressed or his drums, his kicks, his identity, I guess, became like boom bap, and it just that inspired. And he's still going. I was watching some YouTube stuff like a couple weeks ago. He was doing with Action Bronson, and I'm like, are you serious? Like these guys are still going. Like he's in the studio just lighting up, making a beat, and I'm like, that is. And he's been doing it for 20 plus years, so that gives me inspiration, man.
Yeah, that's dope. And a funny story about Alchemist is met Alchemist back in 2004, 5. I was in LA. This dude I used to work with, Poverty, had a record deal with Artist Direct, and my manager Chip had got it for him, and he knew Alchemist from going to school with him at the same school or whatever for audio engineering or some shit like that. So able to shake hands with him a long time ago, but just a kid. So you know how that goes when you're just a kid. Your memories start to fade over time. You're like, damn, you start to not remember it. But I mean, luckily I still remember that portion of it, and pretty dope. And he's a fucking weird guy. Like when you meet him in person, he's like not, I won't say awkward, but like funny in a way where you don't really know what the fuck he thinks. You know what I'm saying? He's that type of person. You meet him and you just like straight face. You don't know, like he might say some offhanded shit. I know he said some offhanded shit to Chip. And if you look on Alchemist's album that he put out, First Infantry, go and look at the liner notes. If you read everybody that he thanks, you'll see Chip Sullivan and Poverty listed in there.
That's sick, man.
The liner notes being thanked, and that's how much of an impact they obviously had. And Poverty actually had beats produced by Alchemist on his album that never came out, but the beats are on YouTube, bro. If you look up like Poverty Alchemist beats or whatever, like it might come up. But yeah, this shit was dope. We're talking 2003, 4, height of the boom bap, like fucking, and it was rugged fucking music that Paul was making, like just super dope music, dude. And Alchemist was obviously dope, and he had been getting beats from like Eric Sermon, Alchemist. He did. Pav did a little bit of time on the Lyricist Lounge tour. That's how he met people and shit like that. So yeah, pretty dope though. Alchemist, always showed him out and watch Fuck That's Delicious all the time and see him being stupid on there all the time.
Yeah, that shows. I will recommend that show to anybody, man. That show's awesome.
But
I would love to do that.
Shout out to Alchemist for still doing it and fucking, you know, he's always making hot beats even still, and he's another one that makes it look so effortless. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna fucking just shout out Dr. Dre right now because I feel like we're just leaving him out of the conversation.
I can't believe I left him out of it, and it's crazy you say that because he's in here on the paper. I don't know where I went without that.
But
Dr.
hey,
Dre is definitely in. Oh my god, I can't believe I put Tyler Creator in there. I take him out and I put
the list is pretty much the same for me, except I don't have Alchemist on there. I got Dr. Dre, but everybody else that you touched on, Timbaland, the Neptunes, Swizzy, you know, I might swap Swizzy out for like Jay Dilla just because I'm really
respectfully okay.
Yeah. And then, but everybody else is right on par, man. Like those are just dope producers. I always thought that Timbaland and Dre got together and made like a co-produced album, like with all the hottest. So that would be so dope. You know what I'm saying?
Could you imagine what could cover that, man? Oh my gosh,
crazy dope, dude. If they could do that and get people like just from all walks on it, you know, that all those people that Timbaland had worked with, like Nelly Furtado and fucking and Magoo, you know, because like you got to bring Magoo back because that's they go vibing off like hand in hand, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So and Missy Elliott having them all vibe like everybody, Justin Timberlake, just get everybody fucking dope, man. So shout out to Dre, make it happen so that we can have something dope to listen to. And yeah, he's recovering from that brain aneurysm thing, so take your time, but give us something.
Definitely, we need something soon, man.
But yeah, moving on. So what typically do you have like non-musical hobbies? I know you probably play ball and shit like that. So like what are some of your favorite like non-musical hobbies?
Non-musical, I'm a heavy gamer. I'll tell you that right now. I game 24/7, 365 if I had to. It's the only thing I do besides music. And sometimes I'm doing both at the same time. So no, that's one thing I'm really into. Another thing obviously is writing. I don't really count it as writing though, because it's always lyrics for me. Like that's how writing, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't come across as like a book or thoughts. It's just lyrics. So, but I can contribute that as like something I like to do because it's not always when a beat is on. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I just pull out my phone and I'm like, wow, that was a crazy thought. Here goes a song, or here goes a lyric, here goes a hook, and it may not get used right away, but it's just again, like I said, that's part of the process.
Yeah,
keep making music. Yeah, so. Writing and just the video games right now, it's crazy because like what we touched on earlier, how people could just be at home now. And if you haven't ever heard of the platform, it's called Twitch, and it's basically where, and like watching people on there, it's crazy to see people come up off of, you know, just streaming regardless, whether it's Twitch or any other platform, YouTube, Facebook, and they're able to play video games for people, and it's just like. I'm not saying that's something I would want to do, but it's interesting because they talk, you know, they're personalities who talk to these thousands of people that are watching or hundreds of people that are watching, as we're like doing right now. You know what I'm saying? And they do it daily, so it's like, wow, they really get paid to host, play video games on. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. Yeah. So
that's what I'm talking about.
I am right. It's the world we live in now. It's just everything's so easy, and especially with like the whole thing with COVID happening and being able to work from home. So, aside from that, though, that's really all I do. I don't play ball anymore. However, that I was very heavily involved in basketball from 2010 to 2016. I had messed my knee up, and then my boys will tell you, I haven't been on a court, I think, with any of them. I think the last time was a couple months ago with like two of them, but I just, other than that, I don't play every day. It's sad because it was like that was our connection. You know what I'm saying? You play ball to go to play with your homies and like kick it, and then it's just like once you stop playing, you get more time to, you know, like with me and music, that's great, but it's like you lose a lot of that what you had before because it's just not interesting. Because as soon as I step on a court, I feel like my knee's gonna give out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
I remember you saying that you were heavy into basketball. That's why I mentioned that. Because I went into basketball too. I did some coaching and played, and you know, it just became overweight. It became too much for me to like fucking keep up with people. Like, damn, you know. I was when I like a few years back when I was coaching and stuff, trying to keep up with those fucking high school kids was a hell of a time, dude. Trying to practice with them, I'm like, damn, you know, I don't know how long I can fucking keep doing this and be able to make it. I had to try to get myself right first, you know what I'm saying, before I could maybe attempt that again. But it was fun while I did it, and I enjoyed the time. And playing ball or getting, the main thing for me isn't exactly what is going on, but I think getting out of the fucking house and doing something other than being in front of the screen or whatever is very important. I think, at least for me, for the creative process too. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're having like a time where you've been in the fucking house for a couple of days and you're like, damn, I need a break. I need to get out. Just breaking out and like stepping outside and even just walking around the block, or here, out in Maine, we can go to the woods very easily and be on the trail and hit that kind of deal. So like, I think that that's really important, at least for me, in the creative process. Like if I stayed in the house all day and didn't do that at least once in a while, like I feel like I'd be real stagnant, because it kind of resets shit for me. Gets my mind focused on other things, lets my mind look around at different sceneries and different people and different reactions, and it puts ideas in my head in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because I love playing games too. That's what I pretty much do. I'm playing Call of Duty, playing NBA 2K pretty much all day, little Grand Theft Auto mixed in, and then going to play games, and then I'm in the studio, then I'm making beats, and then it's like I get bored of that, and it's like go back to playing video games and watching a show. It's been a lot of that for the past fucking year. You know what I'm saying? So anytime I can get out and do something outside and have the chance to do that, I do. Where I'm at, it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Because it's winter where I'm at. It's hard winter.
Oh, I forgot you guys have winter over there. Yeah, that snow.
Winter where I'm at either. It's full on snow. There's like probably 3 feet of snow outside right now.
Are you serious? Oh,
like, so to get outside, it's hard. You know what I'm saying? I get outside and we go and we do things, but for me to get out and actually like fucking hike like I like to do, or go walking with the dogs and kids and everything, that's tough right now. And that's my main fucking qualm with living up here, is that like if we could have everything Maine has to offer but no snow and no fucking even if we could just have no snow and it could still be cold, like I'd deal with that. You know what I'm saying? But like I can't get on the trails, I can't do shit because there's fucking snow everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So but that's why I liked Phoenix so much. It was just so much of there was like not snow.
Right, you don't get it much out here. You might get a little hail or some sprinkle, but
no, I deal with that because it's gone like in a minute. Like, all right,
yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up as far as like walking and getting outside, because I've recently come into that. I gained some weight over the last couple of years, stressing and everything, and not getting a lot of exercise. Just like you said, being inside was just the norm, really. You kind of made that excuse. I know everybody did. If you didn't, then I guess whatever. But I think everyone made that excuse at one point. It's like, well, I can't go outside. I don't want to stay in because I don't want to get sick. So it got to a point where you got used to it. But like walking outside, like you said, it's just I live in an apartment complex in the middle of Phoenix, Arizona. So it's like I don't have much to look at. But even when you just walk outside, you feel the breeze, how good it feels, how good it is to just be outside. And you took that, we took it for granted for a year because it was like we didn't really know what we were going to do. But now I had recently took up, shout out to all my boys. I got Drewski, who went up there with me, my boy G, my boy Ty. I think that was all that went up there. But we went to the Grand Canyon, and beautiful, man. We biked the like edge. It was like $13 to bike it. And it's just, it stops you because you're like, this is like as big and wide as the Grand Canyon goes. We didn't even see all of it. And like there's a wooded area, we were told, like it's like a big ass forest in the Grand Canyon. And it's crazy, like to think we were there doing that and experiencing that, in just a year ago, we were all locked inside. So it felt good. So I'm glad you touched on that, because that's another thing I guess add to that list of, other things outside of music is just enjoying outside and being out and enjoying that, the air and the trees, and it sounds cliche, but it's just real. Like that shit is real.
I think it's important for artists, especially artists, because it seems like a lot of times we're locked in a fucking room or in front of a computer or doing this. And I think we need to make time to get the fuck outside and to do something, even if it is just a short walk around, you know what I'm saying? Just to recenter yourself. And I know it helps people's mental health a lot too, to get outside. So that's always something that is beneficial no matter how you look at it. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty dope, man. Fucking A. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about new rap versus old rap. I know a lot of people get pretty heated about this when we talk about this, but you know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on new rap versus old rap? I'll tell you what my thoughts are first.
Okay, go ahead.
I like to listen to some new rap. So like I'll listen to some Future and like, I consider Drake to be new rap. So I'll listen to Drake and Future and shit like that. But Migos a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But as far as content goes, like for content shit, I'm not really listening to that. I'm listening to that because I'm feeling the groove or feeling the vibe, and like it just sounds good all around, and it gives you you know, just feeling, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm thinking consciously, or I want to hear like something I really like I'll go back to like the 90s, early 2000s rap and shit like that, because I just feel like the culture was a little bit better back then. And I just feel like the lyrics were a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
longer and longer I've had this debate with more and more people, not just on this show, but like in real life over the past like 5 years or so. I always run into the problem of people say that the lyrics aren't great or whatever, but if you go and you pull up Rap Genius on fucking Migos lyrics and like some of the stuff that they rap, like Offset and everybody, I mean, if you're taking it and reading the lyrics out, right, and you're actually, because some people don't even know what the fuck they're saying half the time, you actually got to listen to it a couple times and then you get it. You can hear every little word, and then when you start to put it together, you're like, damn, you know, what he's saying and how he's saying it actually makes sense, number one. And number two, it's just a whole new way of flowing that people were just like thinking in the beginning, this doesn't sound right. But when you go and you syncopate something on the MPC, I can turn that into a triplet hi-hat at any point. And at any point in time, it could be like, you know what I'm saying?
And yeah, and it's,
what they're doing is emulating that triplet hi-hat flow just on the beat with their lyrics. And as I came to the realization of how that all was put together because of just being like a 90s rap guy through and true, you know, I started realizing that it's really hard to compare new rap versus old rap because it's two different things. And you can't really compare. It's like comparing LeBron James and Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? You could sit here and say he's got this many and he's got this many, but they're really two completely different players, two different heights, two different weights, two different. You know what I'm saying? Like whole different like setups for the whole league and everything. So you can't compare that. But I mean, as far as new rap and old rap is concerned, I have a bias towards old rap. Now there are, like I said, the few new ones that I do listen to, and I'm not listening to them. And I don't necessarily enjoy everything that they say. They talk about drinking clean and some of the things, disrespectful shit. And I'm not with that, but I understand that it's their right and as an artist and shit to put out what they want. And since it sounds good sonically, I'm vibing with it. You know what I'm saying? But there's some things where there's new rap I just cannot stand, like Tekashi 6ix9ine and like all these gimmicky fucking rappers that are like that. You know what I'm saying? I cannot stand that. I will not listen to that. No fucking Lil Pump. No, none of that shit. I don't like that. But that's just, you know, my bias. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
So in regards to, and I'm gonna bring this out just because you said it, like you said, the new school. It's almost one and the same with you. I listen to the Futures, the Migos. I listen to the Young Dolls, the Moneybagg Yo's. That's to me is people who are new school, but they still, I guess you could say, come from the old school. I don't know how to explain it, but they're not Lil Pump and they're not 6ix9ine. Like that type of rap, I never got. But it was like Russ said. I don't know if you listen to Russ.
I do. You've seen Russ live. Dope.
Man. Oh, that dude is tight. But other than that, he said in an interview once, and I think it was with Joe Budden on his podcast, he had said that these accounts these days for bringing out new talent and showing off new rappers are ran by 13-year-old kids, white kids in suburbia who think they know what rap is, but they don't. They only know what's popular. And so we know as the 6ix9ines and the Lil Pumps, people who should not be banned from rap, but it's like you really made a living off of throwing yourself just in any direction and hoping it's stuck, and you got it. You got lucky, I guess. But he was saying that that's how they become popular, because we know there's rappers that get undercut because they're not dyeing their hair purple, green, blue, and orange, and they're not tatted, and they don't got piercings, and they're not drinking lean and smoking. And it happens like that because, like Russ said, these accounts are being ran by logical thinking adults. It's kids who think that they know what hip hop is based off of what the popularity of the genre, I guess, and it gets lost like that. So I'm a little, like you said, if I need to feel conscious, if I need to feel like I want to listen to someone spit some rap, I may go get some of the old Kanye, some Lupe Fiasco, some Q, you know what I'm saying? Like something that's gonna get me to feel like, okay, this is what it used to be. Because I think as artists, we all have to get comfortable with where hip hop is going, not just rap or the subculture or all the other subcultures in that and pop, but hip hop itself is definitely never. I won't want to say never, but it's so I say multifunctioning now. Like we don't know what could happen from it. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see the day where we see people coming back and slowing down and talking more so on the records of us understanding and coming from a place like we come from. Like you said, how Jay-Z spits about the Marcy Projects, almost in his songs, and we can live there. Like we know that what that's like. We've been there because Jay-Z took us there. No one's taking us anywhere in their music anymore. We're in their heads, really. A lot of these, rest in peace to the young ones that, like the Triple X's and the Juice WRLDs, and these young guys are making songs about their feelings in their head, but they're not taking in everything that they got, their surroundings and everything. So I think that's what a lot of the old school used to do. And a lot of new rappers today do, like the Vince Staples and your Logics and Kendrick Lamar's, but it's not so relevant because people think it's like, I don't want to hear that. I want to relate to this guy who's drinking all day, or this guy who's smoking all day, or this guy who's fucking all these bitches and driving these whips, because I can't attain that. I know I can't get it, but I want to live in that world with them. You're talking about all this poverty, and I used to grow, it's this disconnect some people don't get. And I think that's why the popularity of the soulful old school 90s vibe dies off, and then you get this big pop version of what hip hop is, because you got artists like Drake who buy into it. Drake is a pop star now. Like, that's what he is. He's a pop star, and
just fighting to stay relevant at this point. So everything he does needs to be relevant, or it's pointless to even put it out.
Exactly. And he doesn't care, because he knows, like, I've already done what I'm going to do in hip hop. I don't care where I go. I'm Drake. Like, this is what I do. It's crazy to see that. And like hip hop itself, like Kendrick Lamar isn't, dropping music, and not anymore, but as much as all these other artists or Logic or J. Cole. Logic just retired, which is crazy, but they're not dropping music because it's like nothing affects them. I can't wait till Cole and Kendrick drop. What's been going on in the last 5 years, y'all? What y'all been doing? You know what I'm saying? Because we hear Drake every year. We hear the Lil Pumps, well, not so much anymore. Them fools. I think that era of that is maybe dying off. But that was what we heard. We didn't hear nobody relevant as far as people speaking from the soul. So, but back on that, same topic as you, I think that's with me is I listen to the Futures, that Atlanta-based trap, hip hop, rap, that it does sound good. It's sonically, they found the tone of their 808s and the snares and the breakdowns and the hats. It's something that they do that makes it all sound like it's one unit. You don't even listen to the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you don't have the whole style. It's just a whole vibe. It doesn't matter what they're saying, and that's how their whole thing is. Like, it does matter, but like to them, really, like they just want to be able to connect with people and fucking make them groove. You know what I'm saying? And that I remember watching a little clip of the Migos in the studio with Beethoven or whatever, and they were talking about that. It's like it's a vibe. Like that's all it is. Like they heard the beat and they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And they just whip it and bob it and give it and bob it, and then they literally were working words like that with each other, like slipping and flopping and getting in, and then like you saw them work it, and they're like, it's gonna be a vibe, and you can just see how they build, and it's just like anyone else would do, except like you said, I think a lot of the new rappers, they're in their head, they have a lot, they're raising a fucking a generation where opiate addiction was one of rampant, and like mental health issues are not being addressed how they should be, and especially for like young black men, nobody talks about mental health, and I think that's one of the issues. That's why we end up losing some of these people at these ages. They've got addictions and stuff that, maybe could be avoided if we're able to talk about everything.
Yeah. And I think also there's people around them that don't allow, that don't even address like you said, the addiction. You can't tell me there weren't people around Juice WRLD that didn't know he was, you know what I'm saying? And it sucks because it's like, they're yes men. If I tell him no, he might not let me fly on this private plane to the tour next. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's the reality of it. There's people around them that don't say anything because they think, you know what, it's okay. Yeah. And another sad aspect of it, and I'm not trying to get all crazy sad about it, but Future had mentioned, and me and my brother Tommy go back and forth about this, whether it's true or not. But he had mentioned in their interview, and I would think he's a true person. He speaks his truth. He had said, most of the stuff I say in my rhymes now, I don't do. I don't drink lean like that. I don't sell whatever. And I believe that, obviously, and like my brother says, he has to say that for the cameras. He's Future. Whether he has to say it or not, there are people who live their life based off of what they think you do in your music. And that's another thing I wish didn't happen is like people make these songs because they think it's going to get popular. another thing like Lil Tecca, he had mentioned that's another one of these, mumble rappers who came out and he was like, I got handgun, like something about handguns. And he was like in an interview, no, I never shot a gun. I'm from this Buffalo, New York, somewhere crazy suburb area. And I'm just like, how does that sell? People really believe you. And then when you tell them the truth, they still fuck with you. And it's like, so am I doing it? You start to get in your head about it. And that's the side of the new generation that gets me is like people aren't telling the truth anymore. They're stuck based on lies. But how do you?
The artistry is crafted by like somebody else, even in a lot of cases where like they're molded a certain way. Like this is how it's gonna sound. All right, so like we're gonna make everything like this now because that's what made you popular. You know what I'm saying? So some people they like go through a phase or they hit that one single and that one single blows up, and the next thing you know, everything they do is like that fucking
yeah.
Like before they were doing like when Eminem started hitting out. Eminem's first album was dope as fuck. Every song was unique in a way, you know what I'm saying? And then his second album came out and it was like you could see he was stretching a little bit, but it was still pretty dope lyrically and everything. And then the third one came out and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like seriously.
It was like skits and bits and like trying to be but then like you said, it's what he knew was gonna
he was trying to do, like it was gimmicky, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel like a lot of new rap is these days. You do find your good artists in there, like Future. Sometimes he tells a story in some of his music. Well, a lot of it he doesn't. There's been some songs where I've heard some storytelling from him, and Drake and Kendrick and J. Cole and everybody. Obviously, they're dope. But for the most part, I'm still listening to my '90s mix on Spotify. Like no matter what. And I might have like my most listened to songs in 2020 might have a lot of Migos, Future, and Kendrick and J. Cole in it, but all the other shit is either me or '90s rap.
Man, I'm telling you, I wish that transition would come in because there's a lot of artists out there that can break. Imagine that, like we're in a world where people are just like, I don't want to listen to trap and mumble rap anymore. What does this person who's speaking soulfully have to say? Can you imagine like if that just happened, how many artists would crumble, but also thrive like in a good man? It's crazy that change and shift. If we'd ever see that in the next 10, 15 years from the hip hop industry, that would be a breakthrough, I think, because imagine what our generation of kids grow up on. They're hip hop. Some of them don't know anything but what trap music is or what mumble rap is or what Drake is, obviously. But it's like they know pop. They don't know that gritty underground, like they don't. And so it's crazy. I wish that aspect of rap came back and was more relevant, because I know it's there, but more in the spotlight, I should say.
Right. Instead of the dumber shit. But yeah, I mean, my kids listen to crazy shit too, and I'll be like, what the fuck is this,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, I don't even know. Like, I thought, my parents thought the music I listened to was bad when I was a kid, but I mean, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? And my kids I'm listening to are like, what is this? So it's just so weird to hear some of the shit that they put out nowadays, and it's like, man, it just blows my mind, honestly. But
oh, go ahead.
What's up? What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say how it was referred to by like Andre 3000 was giving a speech once, and he was just like, we can't knock on the new school because they're just trying to be us differently because without us they wouldn't be them. And so, but like he said, there's so much more richness in like the old school of hip hop, and like again, just to bring it back around, I just hope that we do see that day where that kind of revives itself and becomes the norm. You know what I'm saying? Instead of looked at like, oh, you're an old head because you rap like that. No, I hope it comes back to the newer generation.
Yeah, let's bring it back. For sure. So let's talk about random discussion right now. Are you into any conspiracies at all? Any conspiracies ever like piqued your interest? Like 9/11 was an inside job, or like fucking the oil industry conspiracies, or Bilderberg, or like the any kind of weird shit that's just a conspiracy that interests you.
Okay, so I don't know if this is such a conspiracy, and if we can talk about this topic, so let me know. I'm gonna just bring it up. But there was some conspiracy about like the top A-list actors all being in some like drug ring, or like something, like it was like Tom Hanks and Collie Bear. It was crazy, and I forgot where I read it, and I think it might have been Instagram, but that was like the thing where like all these celebrities were coming out getting caught like child pornography. It was crazy, but there was no evidence behind it.
but it was like it was happening behind the scenes. And this is why Ellen DeGeneres is at home with the ankle bracelet on because she's on house arrest. And like there was a picture of her in some sweats with a big ass box on her ankle. And I'm like, is this real? Like, what is? And then it just went away, just like nothing. Like, it was crazy. I know that was one thing that I remember being brought up. I say it recently, but man, I didn't know what to think of that. It was wild because I got scared. I'm like, is it real? Like, and then it just went away. Like, no one ever talked about it again.
Corey Feldman from like back in the 80s and shit, that actor, he tried to out a lot of like Hollywood pedophiles and shit like that. Not too recently, he even put out a whole fucking documentary about what happened to him when he was a kid. Him and Corey Haim and other child actors and stuff like that. They used to go to this place in LA. It was called like something. It was like where all the child actors went. It was like a playroom that they did shit there, and he like was revealing shit, and it was real shady. So that whole subject's definitely been talked about for a few times, and we know that there's definitely shit going on in the Hollywood circles. It's just a matter of how, if, and when, it can get actually proven, not just somebody saying it, because, they need a little bit more evidence and more people, I think, to come forward than just Corey Feldman, because Corey Feldman, honestly, is just looking like a crazy person these days. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way he carries himself. Not saying he is, but it's just like he comes across as a crazy person, and it's like you need some people who are more strong-headed to come with that message and come out with that and say, look, he's
right,
not, like whatever, back him up. And so far, you really haven't seen that as much. So it leads you to believe like it's happening and stuff, but like when and how and if they're gonna find it out, we don't know. So
yeah, because like the powers that be, there's so much like they could keep under wraps, like that, and that's a scary thing. Like it's a rabbit hole. Like there's maybe millions of things we don't know because there's people at play that can just keep it out of it doesn't matter, or it was just a mistype. Like
yeah, like Michael Jackson, fucking some shit went down with Michael Jackson, bro.
And man,
away. That's what I'm saying. Like shit happened, whether or not we want to accept it. Probably most likely happened, right? And so, like, but you hear about Michael Jackson even nowadays, and like you're not hearing about that. People are celebrating the music still for the most part,
right? And it's like that just went under the rug. It's like this man literally was about to own music, period. Like, and he dies. And then the same thing happened. Not the same thing happened, but like we lose Prince and it starts to make you think like he owned his music since the beginning. So what was he really about to be on? Like, it's scary, man. And those are the kind of conspiracies that I guess I've found out more about. Like you bringing up is just the celebrity and the blanket across the, I guess, that spotlight for them that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know everything, and what we don't know, I guess it's for our own good. But man, the stuff we don't know.
Conspiracies, man, like you talk about them all day. It's like what really got me started on conspiracies was that show Ancient Aliens. Like before that I was kind of like the 9/11 was like I thought maybe it could have been some sort of an inside job, or at least we knew about it in some way, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, no conspiracies really came across my mind, you know what I'm saying? So but yeah, I mean, normally this point in time we're going to talk about like if you got some new releases, bro, or like a planned project that you got coming out, we want to shout that out and talk about the creation process, what that was like for you, if you ran into any issues while you were doing that. So what do you got?
Okay, yeah, so one thing I'm actually working on right now is a project called Wonderland, and it really is just kind of just a conscious effort to try and describe the last 2 years of my life. A lot has happened. A lot is still happening. A lot just happened to me. You know what I'm saying? It hasn't stopped, but I guess was the struggle for me was like, how do I find time to release this? How do I find time to get this message across? And finally I was like, here's the 7 songs that we're going to do. This is going to be the release. This is going to be the single. And we got there, and I'm excited for that, man. Cause I think it's going to help a lot of people understand. Cause 2 years ago, I left like a lot of energy behind, whether it was friendship or work or family. And I've built a lot of it back, and I'm still working on building some of it back. But a lot of this music explains that and goes into detail with it. And it's kind of like, I wouldn't say a last ditch effort. It's just kind of Wonderland is where I'm at in these 2 years and where I still want to stay, because it's what's brought me about. This music that I've created are songs that I've created about the process, and the struggle behind creating this. Like we mentioned earlier with 2020 and Corona and 2019 when we met, that was like the worst. I had, down bad, no car, no job, just getting a new job, trying to figure out life, nowhere to stay. You know what I'm saying? So it takes all of that and brings it out. And I'm really excited about it, man. I'm just trying to, like you said, I'm glad you gave me that information on Song Trader today. I'm just trying to get to the core of how I want to present it, because it's 2 years of work, you know what I'm saying? And it's like something I want to present to where it's good for the people. No one's ever heard it. No one's heard any tracks off of it. I was kind of this project. I told myself I was tired of showing people music. I've been doing that since I was 13, making a beat. Hey, ma, look, big bro, look, little sis. And I still do that today. And it's like, there's no impact unless it's something real they can get to. If I can show you this song and then you can go get it on iTunes, that's a bigger impact than being like, oh yeah, I can't wait till you record that. They're just going to forget it. So like I told myself, I want this to be a surprise for everyone. Obviously now people know it's being produced and recorded and worked on, but I don't want anyone to know when it's going to drop. It's just going to be this drop for me and have it taken in. Cause like I said, it's a real personal project for me. And I've been putting my all into it, and I'm hoping that it works, wonders for people and they can understand. Cause it's not, I don't think it's like anything people have heard recently. It doesn't sound too new. It doesn't sound old. It just sounds
has its
like,
own.
Yeah. It's hard to really explain and put a touch on it.
Some of the songs, I think, I don't know if the songs I heard will be ones that are on this project, but the stuff that you were making late 2019, early 2020 seemed like that direction was definitely going to be like a unique sound in a good way. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I appreciate that.
If you kept on with that direction, I can definitely tell sonically and like lyrically and musically where that's going. It's definitely going to be super dope, and I'm definitely looking forward to it myself. And obviously the beats too for you. I got a couple of beats from you that I don't know if we're gonna do like a short EP with a few beats, and I'm gonna get on there and do my thing. So I'm always appreciative of that as well. And now excuse me, we have reached pretty much the end of the night here. We got about 9-10 minutes left or whatever. So if you have anything that you want to play or you want to perform, or you want to give us a little taste of something that's coming out, whatever you want to do, I'll leave this time up to you to kind of wrap up with that. And when you're done, we can do any final shout outs or plugs or
okay,
wrap up or whatever. So you got something that you can do for us or what?
Yeah, I got something I can. That's why earlier today I wanted to make sure the speakers worked. It's a pre-single, I guess, is what you can name it. It's not going to be on Wonderland, but it's kind of taking you into the vibe of where we're going with it. So I'm going to play it right now, and I'm hoping you can hear it. I'm going to take one headset out so I can kind of monitor myself, but let me know what it kind of sounds like from the beginning, okay?
Yeah.
All right, appreciate it. Let's see if it loads up. Here we go. Can you hear that?
Yeah, it sounds good.
I'm gonna start it from the beginning, and then I'm gonna just sing on it. Is my voice coming pretty clear in the mic?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds as good as it could.
Perfect. I'm gonna just make sure we get this on there. Here we go. Let me start that back. All right. In my mind, no sleep tonight. I've tried everything to make things right. I don't have much left to fight. These demons want everything. This shit ain't right. Hard to tell. I think I see the light, but it's never bright like night skies. It's dark out, like it's like when it's dark out. And the light for me when it's dark out for the night. Yeah, the city's hard now, so it's tight. Compound, this is life, never let your guard down. This is life, never let your guard down. If you like, then you better speak now. Nigga, yeah, you better speak now. Been a minute, shit ain't sweet now. But I got it, it's on me now. I'll forever hold it down for sure. In my mind, no sleep tonight. I've tried everything to make things right. I don't have Much left to fight. These demons want everything. This shit ain't right. Hard to tell. I think I see the light. Never bright like night skies. It's dark out, life is like when it's dark out. When the light only when it's dark out for the night. Yeah, the city's hard now for the night. Yeah, the city's hard now. This is life. Never let your guard down. This is life. Never let your guard down. If you might, then you better speak now. Nigga, yeah, you better speak now. Been a minute, shit ain't speaking now. But I got it, it's on me now. I'll forever hold it down for sure. Oh, in my mind, no sleep tonight. I've tried everything to make things right. I don't have much left to fight. These demons want everything, this shit ain't right. I think I see the light. Oh, oh, And that's pretty much that. I'm gonna turn it down right now, but that's what we got. That one's titled "In My Mind," man. So
In my mind, that's just dope.
yeah, I appreciate it, man. And sorry about it. I wasn't ready to perform it like that, but it came out. It came out pretty well.
It sounded pretty good on my end, and yeah. So
I
shout out
appreciate
to
it.
that. Seems pretty simple enough to perform with a little bit of speaker and just fucking belting it out. So
Yeah.
hell yeah, that shit is dope, man. So that you said is like a pre-single to what's gonna be on this project. So you're trying to do that first, kind of in it.
Yes, I'm gonna release that, kind of put some promotion behind that, and then not even kind of, I'm gonna put like a lot of promotion behind it, at least as far as people hearing who I am and my sound. That way it introduces them into Wonderland, which again, like I said, it's just a project I've been working on the last couple of years that I really want to get across to people. And I just looking for feedback, honestly, because like I said, I usually make a beat and then show somebody the idea, and then it's like, oh, okay, but I haven't shown anyone a beat, a lyric, a melody, nothing. No one's heard anything.
Cool.
I think so I think my boy G heard one beat, and it wasn't even the finished beat. So like barely anything has been released, and no one's heard it. I just want to give everyone a good take of what it is and see what comes from that. So I'm really excited about that, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to put it on your platform, that one single. So thank you.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. It's dope. So yeah, we're looking forward to that project when you do drop it in the single first. Obviously, if you need any help with promotion and shit like that, you can reach out to me. I'm pretty proficient with that shit. So I'm sure we can make something happen too. So
yeah, of course.
But yeah, any final shout outs or plugs? You want to direct people where you're at once more. You want to shout out anybody else?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, long live Slade. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, every platform. I really try to remember them all. I think even a Twitch I have at Long Live Slade, but that is again Long Live Slade. I go by the artist name as Slade. I'm very open to collaboration, to ideas, to sounds, to anything. If it's music, I want to be a part of it. So if you have anything or any ideas or you hear my music from my page, let me know. Very open to doing that. And again, shout out to Obese the Prophet for giving me the opportunity to be here today. A few shout outs I want to give, if I can, to my boys right now. Anyone watching? I got a couple homies that do cut hair. If you are in the Phoenix area, obviously OJ the Juice, you can follow him on Instagram. Sensei J Man, you can follow him on Instagram. That's like Sensei, like whoa. And they both cut hair. My boy RJ's got a little bro, Matt Ogan, who's cutting hair down at Diamond Cuts. Another great place to get your hair cut. You need a nice fade for the weekend. You're going out, whatever it might be, pre-corona, after corona, during corona, you need a cut, hit up Diamond Cuts. And those barbers I mentioned before, they're really good dudes. And just to the whole We the West family, I wish I could name all of them. There's like 20 people. And again, I could just go on and on, but it's been a movement. Shout out to obviously my big bro, Tommy, for holding it down with me. Big bro. And aside from that, I think my boy Drew is watching. I think he is. If he is, Drew, what up, big dog? I might see you on some PS4 tonight. I don't know. But yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity. Those are most of the shout outs. I could be here all night shouting the whole city of Phoenix out. One other thing, actually, go listen to KDXVL Kingdom He just dropped a freestyle on his Instagram with Sullivan Studios. Go listen to any. I mean, this man has been pushing since I remember him back in the 8th grade making beats with this man. And he's a rapper. He's a talented artist. He's got so many different projects he's got going right now. And I want you guys to know, like, Phoenix is just blooming, man. And he's one of the artists that I know has kept his tab on the streets and the music. Dre Polo is another. So KDXVL and Dre Polo. Remember those names. Those are 2 people I just want to shout out because those are people I constantly see doing things in music. It's releasing singles, being in beats, being in videos. They're doing it big. Many others, trust me, there's tons of more people. Those are just 2 people I know have been holding it down since the 2010 days, and that's Tollison and before then. So that's high school and 8th grade, and I appreciate seeing them do it because I do it for the same reason they do, and I'm glad we're still going. So shouts out to y'all, much love. Other than that, Obese, man, I want to thank you again for this opportunity. I was nervous as hell. I was scared. I didn't know what to think. I woke up this morning, man. You don't understand, preparing all day for this, and we're here, and the energy was great, and I love it, man. I miss you, big dog. And
I'll have you back on probably in October if you want to come back on. By then, you
hell yeah, man.
Because I'm booked up till October right now, and I actually stopped booking, and I'll pick that back up in April, probably towards the end of April. So I'll probably hit you up around the end of April, and we'll probably bring you back. Hopefully in October you will have had some time to like put that project out. So
man, I'll tell you
more from that when we do bring you back. But also, of course, miss you guys out there too. Tell your brother Tommy I said what's up, man, and I just hope to be able to get out there soon enough and see you guys again and chill out and make some music and shit and fucking smoke.
Hell yeah, the vibes will be real, man, and you're always welcome down here. You always got a place to stay. You know that, man.
And I appreciate that. And I'm just gonna end the show off here, shouting out the sponsors once again. I do want to shout NPCstuff.com out. They're always, hooking me up with everything I need when I do need it, and I respect our partnership tremendously. Also, I Regret Nothing Apparel. We love them. Black-owned main business. Keep doing your thing. Obviously, we love Fire Cannabis products, and they always sponsor our little smoke break. And Elevate Music, that's my record label. You need promo and shit, you go to elevatemusicllc.com. We can hook you up there. And Bars Over Bars, they're the ones who make this all happen. So obviously, shout out to them. And of course, you catch me next Sunday. And I got a new show on Saturdays at 6 o'clock called The Cook Up, where I'm doing live beats and shit. So if you want to tune in for that, check that out. And Thursdays, we do the show Beats Over Beats as well with Nick Lovin, which we also review and critique people's beats. So that was another thing I wanted you to kind of take part in on Thursdays. We have that show. If you wanted to come be a guest on that show with us and talk about specifically just beat making and shit, we'd love to have you on there. I'll talk to you about that after when we're done with this. But
cool.
Again, Slade, great having you, bro. And we look forward to having you come back again in October, bro.
Yeah, of course, Obese. Thank you again for the opportunity. To the people watching, to the great place of Maine, and again, all those amazing sponsors mentioned before. I appreciate the opportunity. This is Slade signing off. The big dog from Phoenix, Arizona, 623, holding it down, and we'll see you next time, man.